Hey everyone, this is Patrick, and it is time for another edition of Heavy Therapy. In this edition, I am going to go over my first impressions of 5 albums that came out on February 7th, 2025. This is my first impressions of 2025. I have listened to, quite a few albums, not as much as 2024 so far, but I did get to 5 from this week. This is the biggest week for me so far, so let's begin. First up, Open Casket with Trials of Failure. Open Casket are a hardcore influence death metal band from Arkansas. This debut album has 10 tracks, 30 minutes of music, and the tape version is put out on Barbaric Brutality, which you can pick up at nightshiftmerch.com. This is some violent stuff, HM2 Caveman style death metal. For fans of Terminal Nation, in fact, Stan from Terminal Nation, who are also from Arkansas, Stan is a guest vocalist on one of these tracks here. This is kind of Fit for an Autopsy. If Fit for an Autopsy were a slam band. Knocked Loose isms are on this album as well. I gave it about 1.5 listens, so this is very fun. I think even though it's sort of that caveman, hardcore, stomping death metal that's not going to appeal to a lot of death metal fans, there are some good riffs here. Fun riffs, strong riffs, heavy, brutal riffs. Overall, I give this a 7.4 out of 10. If any of that sounds like something that you'd be into, if you like what Barbaric Brutality puts out, check this out. Okay, so up next, I'm going to bring up the project Soar with Amidst the Ruins. Soar is a one-man project comprised of Andy Marshall. Andy Marshall does the vocals. He writes, he's a songwriter. He plays all the instruments here with some exceptions. He plays the main instruments here, meaning guitar and bass. Soar is from Scotland. This is the 6th LP. They've been around since 2013. This is 5 tracks, 58 minutes, and 52 seconds of music out on Season of Mist. So beautiful, atmospheric, galloping, melodic black metal. That's what this style of music is. What this project brings to all of those sounds are an affinity for sort of Scottish instruments, so folk instruments, the way that Scottish people play these instruments. I'm talking about these songs features a tin whistle, a low whistle, and Ilian pipes are on this album, violin, viola, and cello. So there's some string sections on here too as well, played by actual musicians. There's a lot of female vocals on this as well throughout. Melodic lead sections that call to mind classic heavy metal. Long songs. So the first time through it kept my interest in a sense, though I would find myself wandering a little bit as well. So for fans of his other project, Fua, but this is more sort of beautiful and less grim. Vendir, Wolves in the Throne Room, Agalok, very cleanly produced, cool bass lines come through very, very cleanly in your eardrums. So this is one of those albums where I can't really give it less than an 8, but I'm not sure that it's the kind of 8 that I'll be revisiting very often, though I'm definitely going to give it another listen to see if that in fact ends up being the case in terms of my rotation, my catalog, and my musical sort of listening history. Okay. Next up, let's go to one of the bigger releases of the week. This, I'm talking about Obscura's A Sonication. This is Obscura's 7th LP, the first since 2021. This is out on Nuclear Blast. You get 8 tracks, 39 minutes of music. So, this is all new members of the band, except for Kevin. So Kevin was in Thulkandra as well. This features a new bassist named Robin, who played bass on Cynic's, a couple of Cynic EPs, including Retraced EP. This album features James Stewart on drums, who plays drums in Decapitated, and he played in Vader for about 10 years. And so the band has tons of former members, including the main one, which is Christian from Necrophagist. And Christian was actually in this band until this album. First reaction are so I didn't actually. I have Cosmogenesis from this band. I didn't check out very much of their other stuff. I like Necrophagist a lot as well, but so I wasn't necessarily comparing this Obscura album to any other Obscura album like maybe a really big Obscura fan would. I was just listening to it, seeing if I enjoyed it. Wasn't really making a lot of comparisons to their previous work. That said, I found this to be a good album. Easy listening, melodic, technical, at times death metal. Proggy at times, but not as much as their previous albums. For fans of Darkest Hour, At the Gates. So, strong songs, slick guitar work, vocal mix is apparently not popular with a lot of people. This production is not as good as their the last album before this. It works well though on this album for me. So yeah, I actually think this is a really strong album. I gave it 2 listens. I think it's a really strong album. My first initial impression was an 8.5. It's definitely teetering after my second listen. Is it that good? And I'm gonna keep it there for now. This is an 8.5 out of 10. One of the stronger releases that I've gotten to so far in 2025. That is Obscura's A Sonication. The bands, if I didn't mention, are from Germany and started in 2002. 2 more. Let's go with going into this week, the biggest release for me, and we're talking about Frenolith with Ashen Womb. Denmark, Killtown death metal staple at this point. Been around since 2013, but only their 3rd full-length album. The CD is Dark Descent. The vinyl is Misaka Un Oho Records. 9 tracks, 39 minutes of music. You get Simon Daniel on vocals and guitars. You get David from Untergang on guitars and vocals. Jacob on bass. I believe Jacob is also in Ascendancy. And then you get Andreas. He's the drummer here, and he's also the drummer and does vocals on Chaosian. Yeah, Frenolith, like suffocating, dense death metal on their first album. The second album, a bit more atmospheric and evil. Combine those with a heavy influence of Immolation this time around, both in the guitar style and also in the vocal performance, that you're going to get this album. So, yeah, the chaotic nature of Chaosian drums with sort of that hyperdontia style, catchy death metal. Very, very strong album. Catchy, memorable right away. Not a lot of surprises. That's good sometimes, right? I'm going to give Frenolith Ashen Womb also an 8.5 out of 10. Finally, and this is a big surprise for me this week, I never heard of this band. Saw the album cover and I knew I had to check them out, and also that they were from France and playing black metal. Checking them out. This is Berlial with Nourishing the Disaster to Come. 2025 release, of course. 6 tracks, 47 minutes of music out on My Kingdom Music. Again, they're from France. Believe this is their first full-length album, but I didn't double-check it after I made my notes, so I could be incorrect there. Very modern, produced, synth-filled, emotional, memorable, engaging black metal here. Yeah, so it has that French melancholy and darkness. I was engaged the whole time. There's some long songs on here. A couple of them are 7 minutes. One is even longer. A few of them are shorter. So this does very well, like Batushka, Behemoth, Death Heaven style of black metal. Again, played by Frenchmen. Gyrea also kind of appears in my mind when I think about the sounds that this band brings. my first initial impression on the vocals were that they were processed too much. It sounded even a little bit deathcore-y. But I really, really enjoyed this album. This is a great 2025 release. Just to separate it, because I do separate it in my mind, this is probably my favorite release of the year so far. So I'm going to have to give it an 8.6 out of 10. Do I have a favorite track on this album? I'm not sure, but I really like track 1, The Last Dance. I really like the last song. It's a title in French that I'm not going to try to pronounce right now. But yeah, I think this is some killer stuff. Very strong week for releases so far that I've gotten to. Yeah, so thanks for watching as always. What have you checked out this year so far? What should I check out in 2025 that you've gotten to so far? Talk to you all in the comment section. Remember to stay heavy. Bye.